Welcome to Washoe County Library's Wild Wednesdays with Conservation Ambassadors Wild Things. You'll see here on the screen today is Gabe Kirschner, and he has Rosie, and she is a California boa, but he will go into a little bit more details before we go into our featured animal today. My name is Beate. I don't even know if I formally introduced myself, so apologies. This event is live and can be viewed via Zoom and Washoe County Library's Facebook events page. If you want to learn more about today's topic, supplemental materials and activities can be found on our website at Washoe County Library events, as well as on our Facebook page. And some basic housekeeping for our Zoom meetings, please. Mics will be muted, but we will follow Gabe's formal presentation with some questions and answers, and we ask that you put those into the chat. Questions will be added also from the Facebook comments. So if you are joining us today from our library's Facebook page, please do add your questions into the comments section. Comments, sorry, I don't speak the proper social media lingo. And I just want to let you guys know, don't be making fun there, Gabe. There is a chance your face could appear in our live broadcast and recording or to other members of the live Zoom event. So you probably won't be seen. However, if you want to make sure you're not, please do turn off your camera. All right, so we will let Gabe formally introduce himself and his friend here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Beate. Thanks for having us. My name is Gabe Kirschner, and I'm the director here at Conservation Ambassadors Wild Things. And we're over the hill, right over Donner Summit, little town of Weimar, below Colfax. And what we at our center do, I always like to kind of explain what we do. At our center, we give a home to wild animals that need help. Wildlife that has been injured somehow and cannot be rehabbed or re-released back out in the wild, those animals are sent to us. Or other times we have a huge problem here in the U.S., a problem in terms of illegal wildlife. People trying to make pets out of wild animals. Never works. It's also against the law. Those animals are taken away, and they're sent to our center as well. Now, primarily what we do is we travel to school groups and camps and clubs, and one of my favorite, we go to a lot of libraries during the summer, and share our wildlife and talk about the natural history and how they survive in the wild, and problems that the animals are facing. Well, this year, unfortunately, because of the virus, we can't do that. So now we're doing the virtual stuff. We're here, we're talking over, and we're not really good at it, so we're learning as we go. But yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, sorry. I'm not very good at it, so we're learning. And today we have a very special guest. And what I did today, since we're starting and learning about this, I picked one of the harder animals to work with. But we'll get to that in just a minute. We'll start here with, this is Rosie. She's just this kind of a screensaver animal getting ready for the program. You are looking at a gorgeous snake called the California Rosy boa constrictor. This is a native boa that lives here in the U.S. One of the ground boas. Here in the U.S. there are two. There's a rubber boa and there's a rosy boa. This snake here, she burrows down into the leaf litter, into the soft soil, using that kind of shovel-like nose to get down and be protected from other animals. She's not very fast. She doesn't need to be fast. Her primary prey are slugs and snails, and it's not too awful hard to catch those. A protected species. Not very many of them left, and they should be left in the wild where they are. Somebody unfortunately took this guy out of the wild, and they weren't a terrible person, but they tried to keep it as a pet, and they got caught, and she was taken and sent to us. I adore her. She's absolutely beautiful. She just shed her skin, which she does about 3 or 4 times a year. So that's our little screensaver animal of the week. That's little Rosie, the California Rosy boa. We'll send her off. All right.
Gabe, before we bring out the guest, we do have one quick question about Rosie that I'd rather bring up now. Yeah. The question is, what would happen if you dropped Rosie the snake by mistake?
If I dropped her by mistake, she would get hurt. Yeah, she's not set up to fall. She's not even a very good tree climber. So we would not drop her. I just want to be really careful. You know, obviously if it was just a little ways, she'd probably just make a little sound. But if it was from any height, she would get injured. Snakes are fragile. It's one long backbone connected to muscles, ribs connected to muscles. but it's that elongated backbone. So when injuries happen to a snake, it's usually very serious. You have to be very careful. Even though she's strong, she's a strong animal, but she's built with that long backbone. That was an interesting question. 30 years of doing this, I've never had a question about that. It's a good one.
And I think I can speak for both of us. Gabe and I both miss our young questions. They keep us young. So please add your questions to the chat, and we will read them at the end during question and answer. And while Gabe gets ready to bring our next guest out, I just want to welcome everyone again. You are muted. Add your questions to the chat. And I also want to thank our friends of Washoe County Library. They are our nonprofit organization that allow us to be able to offer these kinds of events to our community. And I want to thank Gabe, because thanks to conservation ambassadors, animals like Rosie have a second chance and are rescued and clearly well taken care of.
Appreciate that very much. Well, our special guest this week on Wild Wednesdays, one of the most beautiful animals at our center, has a gorgeous coat that has not only stripes, but also has spots. It's actually, I think, one of the only animals that has both stripes and spots. And the coat is, like I said, is absolutely gorgeous. And that coat got the creature into a little bit of trouble we'll talk about in just a minute. His name is Ruka, and Ruka means to leap or to jump in an African language called Swahili. So you might guess two things. One, the animal's from Africa, and two, the animal's a great jumper. And the animal's will be loose here in one of our rooms at our center, and he's also kind of has a mind of his own, so we'll see how it goes. You guys ready to meet him? All right, let me go over here and get him. All right, there's a response. Let me go over here and get him. This is Ruka.
I can feel the anticipation from those of you that joined us.
Whoa! Did you see Ruka come on by? What up, you buddy? What up here? Oh, this is Ruka, and you are looking at a gorgeous, gorgeous creature called the African serval. This is a just gorgeous creature from the savannas or the grasslands of Africa. They live throughout Africa, but their numbers up in northern Africa are very, very slight. Most of them are sub-Saharan or below that great big desert at the top of that. Hi, big guy. Yeah, that was a greeting. That was more rubbed. Hi, big guy. Now, Ruka here. He's coming up here. He's getting his treat that he's getting right now is a little bit of meat. But I'm going to give him his big treat. This is a little bit of milk. We'll see how he likes that. This is kitten milk replacement milk. He absolutely loves that. Now look at those spots, the spots and the stripes. Rather colorful. But you know what? Those spots and those stripes, that helps this animal to blend in to the tall grasses, the grasslands of Africa. He's long-legged, very slender cat. Lays there in the grasses waiting as a bird flies overhead. This creature can leap straight up 12 feet. Now, 12 feet, put that in perspective. A basketball rim is about 10 foot in the National Basketball Association. So 12 feet up, that's the top of the backboard. This little creature can jump up and catch a bird in mid-flight. As a matter of fact, in some of the slow motion videos they filmed of these guys hunting, they jump up and they take 3 or 4 swats at that bird as it's flying overhead. Amazingly quick. Now, the long legs and this kind of shortened tail, they kind of look a little strange when compared to our house cats or some of the other cats on the planet. The tail is not a balancing tail like some cats have. It's a shortened tail, and it's really mostly just for communicating with other servals. Let them know when they're annoyed or when there might be prey in the area. Can you guys notice these white spots in the back of the ears? Those are cool. Those are called follow me spots. They're pretty neat. I don't know if you guys have ever gone to the mall and you're walking in the mall and you can't find your mom. That's because all moms kind of blend in together. They all look alike, right?
Hey.
Hey, okay, well, anyway. Imagine if your mom was carrying a white flag, if she had a white flag that you could follow. If it had these little white spots, the babies, the kittens, they can see their mom. I mean, camouflage could also hide the mom from the babies, and that would be no good. So they want to be able to see where their mom is walking. Biologists or scientists that are studying the cats also think that maybe those white spots look a little bit like eyes looking back behind them. That maybe if a predator came up behind, they'd see those little. It's hard to do this. They'd see those spots, and maybe it would say, "Hey, that cat already sees me. They want to leave him alone." All right, he's looking awfully cute, and I might as well get this out of the way. I don't want people thinking this is a pet. This is a baby. This is only a 1-year-old cat that somebody tried to make an illegal pet out of. They tried to bring him in the state of California, and they got caught. They got in big, big trouble. This is a protected species, and it's against the law to do this, and this guy was taken away and sent to us. I love being able to share him with you, and I hope he travels to many, many school groups. Give me this chance to talk about this gorgeous animal. But boy, this is a creature that should be in the grasslands of Africa. Should be living his life free, hunting those birds like we talked about earlier. That's where he really belongs. And people always want to know what his sounds are. I don't know, can you guys hear his purring right now? Can you hear that, Beyonce? Probably not. It's a little quiet, but he does purr. He has a beautiful purr. And when he stops purring, that's when we get a little nervous. That's when we know that he's moving on to something else. But he has a beautiful, beautiful purr. Now, he also has a whistle. Like that. And he hears that sound. That's another cat calling to him, letting him know that he's in the area. You might want to know what I'm feeding him. I'm feeding him raw chicken. It's kind of a treat for him. He eats meat. He eats any sort of meat. So right now, he's getting a little bit of raw chicken. I'm a vegetarian, but he's not. He's a carnivore. This guy likes to eat meat. I was saying that fur got him into a little bit of trouble. This fur coat, people used to hunt these guys, and they would sell the fur, and they would call it baby cheetah fur. And because it looks a little bit like who's going to pee on me, a little bit like he's going to attack JoJo the camera guy. That's awesome.
Duck, JoJo, duck.
Yeah, not a duck, it's a serval. Now, he's, or the cat is doing whatever he wants. Let me try something here.
We'd probably hear him purr this close to the camera.
Yeah, maybe. These guys were heavily hunted for this fur. Luckily now, people don't really like fur so much anymore. It's kind of lost its appeal. People have kind of come to the agreement that fur looks a lot better on the animal than it can ever look on a coat on one of us. I'm trying to give him one of his toys that he likes, but he's being a little cat. There we go. Lightning quick. How fast he is with those paws. Luckily, he's keeping his claws really nicely. If you notice a lot of things about him and you see how he moves, he might remind you of your house cat at home. He might remind you of your house cat at home. Our house cats are a lot like their wild cousins. Their behavior is very similar. Whereas the dog, or pet dog, is very different from its ancestor, the wolf. Cats, they're very similar to the wild cousins. They have the desire to hunt. You see them out in the yard going after mice and rats and birds and things. They're very, very similar. So this guy here was taken away. He came to us. He's now living with another serval at our center. They're doing really well, except for Charlie's a little bit older and not quite as playful. So this guy Ruka, he has to get his energy out with us usually when we're trying to handle. So let's see if it can come back. Oh, he's looking out the window and he sees a bird at the window. I don't know. He's watching a bird now.
Gabe, that's tough competition.
I know, exactly. Hey, Ruka. Come here. Do we have any questions? Beyonce?
We do, and I think you answered one of them. They wanted to know what he was eating. So if you want to recap on what you were feeding Ruka.
I'm feeding him chicken, but he will eat any meat. He's a carnivore, so he'll eat any meat. He eats here at the center. He gets a lot of beef. He gets a lot of chicken. He gets a little bit of fish, which is surprising that he really likes it, but he does. And he also gets compared to a logical diet. It comes to us made up for the carnivores of zoos, for lions and tigers and whatnot. In the wild, primarily a small mammal, small reptile, like, you know, the size of that boa we saw first, and bird hunter. The bird hunting is also what I think is the most impressive. They're just amazing, amazing jumpers. So let me go back and get them. Bring back over here. Stay right there, Judge. Is there another question?
There is, but I wanted to address what you mentioned about jumping for those folks that are just now joining us. Does anybody remember how high Ruka can jump? You can answer in the chat if you are so inclined.
You can.
All right, Gabe, tell us, how high?
About 12 feet. 12 feet.
Oh,
I can get.
We got an answer too. People were listening. We got an answer.
Oh, that's awesome. I can get a good 6 inches of vertical, but this guy here, 12 feet. This is an amazing, amazing jumper. That you can film him down there too, Judge, if you like. Let's you know what he's attacking right now? He's going after my flip-flops. Did you see that? This is the strangest animal show I've ever done. So most of the time, this animal would be out in the grasslands in the daylight hours, and he'd be laying low, being very, very quiet, and just watching and listening to the world around him. Excellent, excellent vision, fantastic hearing. The hearing is just, with those big ears, he has fantastic hearing. And he could hear a bird, the wings of a bird as it flies overhead. He'd be aware of it, and leap up and try and take that bird out of the sky. They're beautiful. You guys like how playful he is? That we do try and get a lot of his energy out. Now, I cannot stress enough, this is a baby. It is going to change. As wild animals mature, they change. This guy is not a house cat. He should be roaming free in the wild, in the grasslands of Africa. I feel very, very strongly about that.
So Gabe, that was another question. Where could you spot a serval in the wild?
They're in Africa, mostly south of the Sahara Desert. They don't really like the jungle much. They like, so the equatorial Africa, where the really dense jungle is, that's not serval habitat. They would live in the open grasslands along with the majority of the elephants and the giraffe and the zebra and the cheetahs. That's where they belong. Are we done eating chicken? I think we should move on to fish or something, huh? Do this.
So Gabe, we have another question. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something? Sorry. I'm not good at this.
Go ahead. I can use that.
How big will he get when fully grown? I don't remember you answering that. So
that's a good question. They range in size from 15 pounds from some of the smaller females to 40 pounds, some of the larger males. Now, this animal, he's a year old, so I think he's about as tall as he's going to get, but he'll put on another 5 pounds. So that'll put him right about 25 pounds, somewhere in there. I love that behavior. I don't know if you can film that, Judge, as he's carrying something off. He's you see how that speed of that.
he's beautiful. So can they climb?
They are decent climbers, but not like the leopard. They don't climb like the leopard. These guys are, like I said, are mostly open grasslands. And he'll leap up onto a branch, but he really doesn't climb up the trunk of a tree. He's taking his toy and going home.
he says playtime's over.
Yeah, have any of you guys ever tried to train your cat at home? The cats are that's what I love about them. They just do what they want to do. They're off there and they're very independent creatures.
Okay, so we have another question about food. How much does he eat in a day?
He eats about a pound of meat a day. So that's a lot. If you're 1/20th of his body weight every single day, that's a lot of food. Now, 1 day a week, we don't feed him. And that's for a very good reason, because carnivores in the wild, they don't get a chance to eat all the time. They don't get a chance to capture prey all the time. It's called a fast day at a zoological, at a zoo. And that kind of gives their system a chance to kind of clear out a little bit. And it also means that they don't get quite so heavy-bodied in captivity, because no matter how we try to replicate their wild environment, it's not the same as living free. They are in captivity. This guy, well, it's, you know, give him a good life. He should be in Africa. So,
Are they endangered, Gabe?
They're no longer endangered specifically to the serval, and there's 3 subspecies of serval, one of which is of great concern, but the others are of least concern. However, because they are spotted cats, they are protected by law. So that spotted coat affords them the same protection of a leopard. He just went running away from me. And so I'm glad they're doing well. One of the reasons they're doing well, because one of the reasons they're doing well is because of the large national parks in southern Africa. So, Viate?
Yes.
I think we should use easier animals than cats.
I don't know. I think we started with a pretty high bar today, Gabe.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's beautiful. In our school programs, what he does, he comes out, he's on lead, and he jumps up on the table, and he gives us a good 5 minutes of really wonderful chit-chat and being able to talk about the serval. Here, what he's doing is he's loose. I thought it'd be a good idea, but apparently I was wrong. And he's just exploring. He's having fun, checking everything out. So.
I think the message that we are getting from you is how much love and passion you put into these rescue animals. And I think seeing him enjoy himself the way he does tells a story in and of itself. So again, we thank you.
Well, absolutely, absolutely.
So we have a couple more comments and another question. So as you said, for those people that have cats, there's a comment here that says, not a house cat, but I do see many surprising similarities. One of our viewers shared. And then how long will Ruka get? So we learned about how heavy, how long.
I think they mean how old will they live to be? Is that the question? Or the length?
It says, how long does he get? If the family that asked that question wouldn't mind clarifying, that would be great.
Yeah, because he's about full length right now in terms of physical length, but he will live to be at 15 to 20 years of age.
So double answer. So thank you.
Sure.
Let's see if we can stump Gabe with a question that he doesn't know. Yeah, that he'd have to go to the library and learn.
You know, the cats of the world are just amazing creatures, and we all love them. I really hope that we're doing enough to protect them. And the way to protect cats is to protect their habitat. The way to protect cats is to give them space. And if you give them space, they do just fine. We see the lions and the tigers and the leopards and the cheetahs doing well in areas that we've set aside and leave them alone. They're doing well. And that's, I think, the message with the serval, at least in the wild, is there are servals today because we put aside land. And I think that's a happy story. It's pretty cool.
It's a good message. So you mentioned the cheetah, and I think at some point I learned, it's in something that I read from the library, I'm sure. I think is the cheetah the fastest canine?
Yeah, that is. The cheetah, there's some argument, but yes, the cheetah is the fastest mammal on the planet, and running up to 65 or 70 miles an hour. But here's something interesting about the cheetah. The cheetah actually evolved here in North America. That we used to have cheetahs racing through Nevada. Think about that. And the reason they're so fast is their primary prey was the pronghorn antelope. The pronghorn antelope is almost equally fast to the cheetah. And so there are some people, some biologists, that will argue that the pronghorn antelope is just as fast as that cheetah. So kind of think of it. I don't know if you've ever been out to eastern Nevada and seen the pronghorn. They're amazing creatures as well.
And then, so speaking of how fast, we'll bring it back to the Serval. How fast does Ruka go, or will Ruka go? And
he's
not so fast.
No, he's maybe 25 or 30 miles an hour for short distances. But his gift is the ability to leap up very quickly and to swap with those paws. He's like a boxer. He's not a. He leaps up and he just moves his paws so quickly to capture those birds. Very quick jumper, an amazing jumper, but he's not that fast. Well, he decided to come here and say hello. That's wonderful.
So we're getting some love in the chat. We've got, they're loving seeing his head pop up as he's checking out his environment there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I personally am loving the love he's giving you. That is so sweet. But as emphasized, he is a wild animal. Oh, sorry, Gabe, what?
This is why I don't have any hair.
And then we have another family that says, I like cats and snakes.
Great.
And here's one for conservation ambassadors. Is Ruka's facility open to visitors post-COVID, of course? What other animals do you have?
We have over 70 species of animal, and our facility is not here in Colfax, or Weimar, is not open to the public. But our other site, our sister facility, is, and it's down in Paso Robles, California. We have two sites, one in Paso Robles, the other here in Weimar. But the one here in Weimar is not open to the public. So he has to do what he's doing. He's just messing with me now. He's having fun.
And then from our Facebook folks, several thank yous. And he's beautiful.
Well, I'm glad. I hope you enjoyed it, meeting him. I hope you tune in next time when we have an animal that's not going to be so difficult to work with. This guy just kind of doing his own thing. But we have so many great animals to share on Wild Wednesdays with the Washington County Library. I'm very excited to do this.
Gabe, do you have anything else you want to share before I just go through some reminders?
Just real quickly, that we all have a job to do protecting wildlife. And it's not to get on too much of a soapbox or whatnot, but people have to keep the environment clean, recycle, use stuff wisely, let wild animals live alongside of us. We do easy things like that, not use one-use plastics, limiting that. Simple things, and wild animals do just fine alongside of us. And I think that's very important.
Very powerful message for all of us to consider. Thank you. Okay, I think we've covered everything. What do we say? 10-4, over and out. Thank you. Feel free to reach out to us. The Wild Wednesday.
The Wild Wednesday.